brand new series, Aaron and Ben Picks, Talk Sports, whatever you want to call it. We really don't know what we want to call it yet. But, so pretty much, rundown, this is going to be me and Ben are going to give you our picks because we are just seasoned sports bettors that have major bankrolls. We have a $1 and $2 parlays going this weekend. We'll pretty much give you insights on college football, biggest games of the weekend, as well as some upsets. Next week when NFL comes around, we'll probably add some NFL picks as well as some player prop parlays that we like as well. But this week, it's just going to be 5 of the best games, the 3 ranked matchups, and we've each brought our own game, as well as an upset of the week, a money line upset. None of this super dog or whatever college game day starts theirs. We're talking 7 plus 7 underdog, money line, and as well as, what else did we say we're going to do? Upsets, best games. Parlay. Yeah, we each have our own parlay. Ben's is $1, mine is $2. So we're just going to jump right into it because we have spent a little behind the scenes. We've spent 2 hours trying to figure out how we were going to record this, but we finally figured it out. So we're going to start out. Big noon's there. College game day's there. Of course, it's Lee Corso's last college game day. Thank God. But we're going to start out with Texas against Ohio State. Texas coming in as preseason number 1 in both the AP and coaches. Ohio State preseason number 2 in the coaches, 3 in the AP. Ohio State at home the home team is favored by 2.5 with the total, I believe, is at 58.5. Let me double check that. I use FanDuel, so it'll be the FanDuel odds that you'll get with that one.
Whatever I saw on Bleacher Report, they basically had it as a toss-up. It was like a minus 0.5 spread. But
yeah, FanDuel had it last I saw at 2.5 for Ohio State. Oh no, it's moved to 1.5 for Texas. So a lot of money's coming on Texas. Crap. And the over/under set actually at 46.5. So let's just jump into it. We'll also obviously give background of the games and our picks. Both quarterbacks, and me and you kind of talked about this when we talked about what we wanted this show to be like. We ended up talking for an hour, pretty much your entire car ride home, about how a lot of these top 10, 15 preseason teams have a lot of new quarterbacks. Texas, Arch Manning, Ohio State, Julian Sayin. Pretty much, I mean, there's 2 combined, I think, career starts between them. Sayin, I don't think he played at all last season. Ben, where's your mind at this game?
Pretty even teams across the board. I think they're extremely talented. Obviously, you can see by the preseason rankings. So I'm super excited to see Ryan Wingo for Texas, their top receiver, and then Jeremiah Smith, obviously Ohio State's top receiver. I'm super excited to see that matchup. I don't think that's what wins the game. Mm-hmm. I think the game will be won by who can run the ball better, and I think Texas has that edge. Going into the game, they have more experienced running backs. They have Baxter. They have Wisner. Wisner's a stud. I think Baxter's a stud as well. Ohio State obviously has a lot of talent in their running back room as well, but a little bit less experienced with Judkins and Travion Henderson going to the league. Right. So I think that the Texas has the advantage in the run game, and I think that's what will win them the game. Overall,
I agree. I think this game, it's a pick 'em for a reason. It's obviously 2 preseason top 10 teams. I lean Texas because of not just the experience that they do have with the running game. They have a really good defense. And Ohio State, and that's what Ohio State doesn't. I mean, Ohio State has Caleb Downs. They have a lot of new guys though that are coming in and playing more impactful roles than they have previously. That's why I lean Texas. Anthony Hill Jr. is an absolute stud at the middle linebacker position, and I think he will be able to withhold that Ohio State running game because the best friend of a young quarterback is a running game. Now, it is also a top receiver, and he has that in Jeremiah Smith, and he also has Carnell Tate on the other side. I just think Texas, with its more experienced defense, I think they were able to withhold it. In Ohio State, I was listening to Mostly Sports Today on Barstool, and they have a guy, Mark Titus, who is an Ohio State alum, played on Ohio State's basketball team for 4 years. He said, Ohio State always loses this big preseason or this big early season non-conference tilt, and they actually put out the numbers. They're 3-4 since 2005. Of course, you think to mind of who it was, I believe, Oregon a couple years ago. C.J. Verdell ran rough shot over them, pretty much was a blowout in the horseshoe for the Ducks. And now where Ohio State, I think at the end of the season will be better than Texas, but early on in this season, you get this kind of matchup, and you have to enjoy it because it is kind of gutsy to have this matchup. Now with the 12-team playoff, it's not as gutsy because you can afford a one loss and then still make the college football playoff, obviously. But I lean towards Texas. I actually might alt this spread to about 3.5, get a little bit more money on it. But I think Texas wins, and I like the under because I think, like I said, both defenses will be good, but the more marquee players, I think, on both sides of the ball that we know are going to be defensive. And you take a lot of unders, especially early season matchups. And so I think this is a 21-17, 24-17 type game. So
and you really, and we've basically gone this whole time, like you mentioned Julian Sand, but didn't really talk too much about him. They're both former 5-star guys. They both have super high expectations, lots of talent level, obviously, when they're ranked 5-star players. They're unproven, but you kind of just assume they're going to be good based on the ranking. Generally, 5-stars are the
guys who are drafted. Yeah, generally 5-stars are the guy that 3 years from now will be drafted in the top 10, in the top 15 picks, and I get that. But me and you talked kind of just like a little bit behind the scenes. You look at all these preseason rankings, the ones that don't have a returning starter that has started any type of football, much less at that school, because obviously transfer portal, you have different guys at different positions. A lot of it's because it's 5-star quarterback. Arch Manning, 5-star quarterback. Julian Sayon, 5-star quarterback. Not to throw Ole Miss into this mold saying they're going to be bad, but Austin Simmons, I believe, was a 5-star. Now, granted, he graduated high school at 15, so he might not have been able to be rated at that point, that early in his high school career. But, these are top-level high school recruits that you're projecting are going to be good. And I think, and again, now, granted, more oftentimes than not, Ohio State puts out a 5-star quarterback, he turns into C.J. Stroud. So who's to say that Julian Sayon cannot be him? I just don't know if he's him this early in the season with a big marquee game. He is I think it's 0-17 is the record. I believe it was 0-7 or 0-17 is the record for true freshmen or anybody making their first career start against a number 1 team in the country. That's what Julian Sayon has to do. Can he become that one? I say no. We both say no. So I guess hook him, but it's because I want to. It's
gonna be a great game.
It's gonna be a really good game.
I'm really excited. Saturday.
It's a great way. 11 a.m. Big Noon because Big Ten loves that. So we don't want to get too bottled down because there obviously are 2 other ranked on ranked matchups. The other one, the nightcap on Saturday, LSU at Clemson.
Yeah.
What I'm really surprised, Alan, and I don't know what your take is, the fact that, because we grew up in an age, obviously, and we're still kind of in that age, where all of these top 15, top 10 preseason games, if you got them, they were at a neutral site. They weren't a true home game or a true road game for either team. And we have that, obviously, with the Texas-Ohio State game we just mentioned and the LSU-Clemson game. LSU 4.5-point underdogs traveling to Death Valley, the Battle of Death Valleys. And I guess I'll start for this one. I'm taking the Tigers. I was waiting. I'm taking LSU. Reason why I'm taking LSU, and me and you talked about this, Garrett Nussmeier is a dog. He's an absolute dog. It also is not going to be. It's going to be mentioned probably ad nauseum during the game, and especially in the pregame. And if Clemson starts running with it, it'll probably be mentioned again. LSU has not won a season opener since they went undefeated in 2019. So the last, I guess that's 5 seasons. They are 0-5 in their last 5 season openers. Mississippi State, of course, starting that trend in the COVID All-SEC season of 2020. But LSU just, especially into Brian Kelly. And Brian Kelly, he doesn't do well in these spots. But I'm not trusting Brian Kelly. I'm trusting Garrett Nussmeier. I'm trusting the receivers that they have. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like I know them all. But I trust Nussmeier. I trust the fact that I think he can stretch the ball. And he's going to – now, he is a gunslinger. We talked about that as well, that he likes to throw balls into tight windows. He likes to take chances. And Clemson has a really good defense, has a really good secondary. So, obviously, if he takes too many chances, it could bite them. But I'm taking LSU at the +4.5. I think – now, I might be ADD kind of spewing here. I think I'm taking LSU at +4.5 mainly because I think this is a really tight game. I think this is a game that could possibly go to overtime. I think this is a game where each quarterback is in the preseason Heisman tilt, preseason #1 pick for next year tilt. This is a game that scouts are going to be at, scouts are going to watch, Heisman voters are going to watch and compare these guys when they play off against each other. So I'm taking LSU, not just the spread, taking LSU money line to win the game in Death Valley and bring it home to the true Death Valley in my mind, which is in Louisiana.
I agree.
Really?
I have LSU winning. Yes. So, I think you nailed that on the head. The Clemson defense is super experienced, very talented. Obviously, their front seven, especially the defensive line, is very scary. If you're an LSU fan, you're an LSU offensive lineman, even. But I trust kind of what you said. I trust Nussmeier a lot more. And that's a little bit scary because he can be turnover prone, but I know that he can make those big throws. He has a history of making huge throws. He can put the team on his back. And what they did last year is they let him put the team on his back, so it's not like it's something new. Right. He did it all last year. And the running game, if they can increase it at all, just adds another dynamic. But even if they don't, Clemson improved at receiver. Their top 3 guys are just absolutely studs. Well, I'll say top 2, Aaron Anderson and Nick Anderson, studs. Barry Brown, if he can catch the ball, super dynamic. He has drop issues, but obviously great punt returner and kick returner, super fast. So I think they have a lot of offensive weapons, and I don't trust Klubnik. So kind of going back to the 5-star thing, there's a reason these guys are 5 stars. They're super talented, but Klubnik in particular, he has so much experience as compared to Sayan and Manning. We don't know who they are, so it's kind of exciting. Klubnik, I think we know who he is, and he's an above-average quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. That's my take. That's how I feel. He doesn't make these amazing wow throws. He's not incredibly impressive in the passing game. So can he be a game manager? Sure. Is that what they need against LSU? I don't think so. LSU's defense is very improved, especially in the secondary. Right. And I think that LSU has enough firepower, and Klubnik is average enough for Clemson to lose this game at home, first game of the season. I don't trust Brian Kelly in the first game of the year, but like you said,
something's got to give.
The player.
Yeah, something's got. When you lose 5 straight, now granted, they're all aside.
The players win the game.
The players win the game.
The players win the game.
Players win the game.
Brian Kelly's going out and saying we're taking week 1 seriously.
Right.
How do you not take every game seriously when your job's on the line?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, especially because if they're going... Because me and you are big T-Bob Haybear fans. He's obviously now a Barstool, and I'm a big consumer of Barstool content. And he has said ad nauseum on the Unnecessary Reference podcast and also on Mostly Sports when he when he chimes in there, that this is the year for Brian Kelly where if you don't make the playoff in a 12-team playoff, in LSU, I mean, the playoff has been around since 2014, whether it's the 4-team, 12-team, whatever. LSU has made the playoff once. Now, they won the national title, but that was also Joe Burrow in the best offensive season we have seen probably ever by a singular offense, where you had him, you had Justin Jefferson, you had Jamar Chase, you had Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you had Thaddeus Moss, Randy Moss's son, who did work out in the league, but he was still a stud at the tight end position. And also back to something you said, game manager with Klubnik. The thing with Klubnik and Nussmeier is that if this is a game where something like you need a big throw, it's 3rd and 12, you need a throw to extend the drive or to win the game, to run off the clock, I trust Nussmeier making that throw more than I trust Clemson and Klubnik, just because of what we've seen. Now, because again, with Klubnik, the hype they're getting is because they made the playoff last year. They weren't supposed to make the playoff. They're a 57-yard, they're a miss. If that kicker doesn't make that 57-yard field goal, Clemson's probably a top 10 team, maybe 15. Instead, they're top number 4 in the country in the preseason ranking. Based on, now again, they returned a lot. Now, and all these players are internal. Dabo Swinney does not hit the portal at all. He is very adamant. I'm recruiting guys. They're going to be my guys. They're going to stay here in 3-4 years. So this is the year. This is the year of, you've seen different teams around the country use the transfer portal. Ohio State's obviously used it, and these are teams at the top. Ohio State's obviously used it. Texas used it. Maybe not at the key positions of quarterback, wide receiver, but it's in the internal of it's in the secondary. It's at different positions. They're getting veteran guys. Clemson has not. I think they've signed one portal guy in the last 2 or 3 years. The only teams who have signed less than that are the 3 service academies at the FBS level. So I think, like I said, LSU I think wins this game, and it's because we're bringing it to Nussmeier. Now, if they lose this game, Brian Kelly's seat I think starts to warm up a lot, because as we mentioned, they have to make the playoff this year. And you start looking at that schedule at Ole Miss. I believe they go.
Well, within the first, if they lose this game, they could be 2-3
right
after their first 5.
Because
they could lose to Florida.
Yeah.
And then they play Florida and then Ole Miss week 5 at Ole Miss. Both of those are also losable. If they lose to Clemson, their season is, and then obviously if they lose to Florida, it's like game over. You have a team full of transfer. You have a team full of transfers who are not invested too much in LSU, and the season falls apart. We've seen it.
You've seen it time and time again.
Florida State last year, we've seen it time and time again. Yeah, exactly.
And it happens with losing early games like this. Like Florida State last year started 0-2, and that team just quit. They lost to a Memphis team that, we're from the Memphis area, but that team was not good enough. Was not one of the best Memphis teams we've ever seen, and now granted Florida State was 2-10. But if guys start quitting internally, Nussmeier is going to be a top 10 pick if he has just an average season. What's stopping him from just not mailing it in to where he opts out of the season, but what's stopping him from just saying, hey, like, I'm gonna just throw around, get my yards. I'm not gonna, if I'm scrambled, I'm just gonna sit down, do the Tom Brady, take the sack type deal. So yeah, I have LSU winning mainly because I think it's vulnerability. Clemson can lose this game, and the ACC is a cakewalk to make the playoff. If LSU loses this game, as you just mentioned, they lose this game, they can easily start at worst 2-3, probably more than likely 3-2. I don't know about Florida, just because I think that game is in Death Valley. But I do think that if they lose this game, they have a really, really, really strong chance of losing to Ole Miss. I might. In that, because I think, you have the future lines. I think that look ahead line would easily drop to Ole Miss's favor. But again, moving on, I believe it's the Sunday night game, which is not Texas. We already talked about Texas. It's
Notre Dame,
Miami. The U, Catholic versus convicts. Notre Dame in Miami. Notre Dame is, I believe. My phone has decided to almost die. Do you have that spread up?
I saw 2.5.
2.5 for Notre Dame. I guess I'll go first again.
I can go first.
You.
Okay, we know your answer.
You. Miami wins this game. They've done the quintessential what Miami's done the last couple years. They bring in a guy. They bring in a transfer portal. They bring in a transfer portal quarterback, and they say, "Hey, we're going to get all these weapons around you. We're going to throw the ball around. We're going to try." They've improved the defense, but again, kind of what I mentioned with Nussmeier and Klubnik, seeing Nussmeier make those throws and Klubnik hasn't. Carson Beck, I know last year was awful. Like, he was preseason number one pick in the NFL draft. We thought, just go out, have an average season, you're going to make it. He transfers to Miami. He gets his car stolen or whatever it was. His girlfriend breaks up with him because he's Snapchatting other girls on a family vacation. Carson Beck has the talent. This is what has to work for Carson Beck. If this does not work, Miami might get blown out of the water. I'm counting on this, for this game at least, to be there, like at least coherent. The other thing that people, I think, kind of forget when they talk, because they talk about Georgia and Gunnar Stockton getting up there in the rankings, Georgia's receivers were god-awful last season. I think they led the country in drops. They were terrible. Terrible. And if you're going to have...
They're so bad.
And you saw it firsthand with the Ole Miss game. If you do not have faith in your receivers, there's no reason this gets jacked up, because it's like, okay, I can put the ball on the money, but this guy might drop it. So Miami went out. They got some new receivers. They got young guys stepping in. You have JoJo Trader. You have Ray Joseph. Ray Joseph, they're expecting to take that Xavier Restrepo role, who was Cam Ward's frequent favorite target last season, I think. And they've really improved that secondary. And that defense last year is what kept Miami out of the playoff, because they melted down against Syracuse. Because people forget, again, I mentioned Clemson getting all this preseason love because of what they did last season and making the playoff. Clemson is Miami not blowing it against Syracuse away from not even touching the playoff, not even having a chance, because it would have been a Miami SMU in the ACC title game, but because Miami lost, Clemson got in, and then they lost, and then of course Clemson ended up beating SMU, got the automatic bid. Miami, this is a prove-it year for Mario Cristobal. Marcus, now again, we talk about desperate teams. We talk about LSU kind of being desperate. Notre Dame has to win this game, in my opinion. Now, I know I'm taking Miami, but speaking of Notre Dame a little bit, because I don't know where your head's at, Notre Dame has to win this game, because if they don't, we talked about, their loss last year to Northern Illinois. They had an easier schedule. That schedule is not easy by any means this year. There's no MAC team, which we'll get to the MAC later a little bit. There's no MAC team. There's no team that can kind of ease it in, because next week they're hosting A&M. So if you lose this game, you're staring 0-2. I understand it's at home, but you're staring 0-2 quickly in the face as a possibility. And I think they're staring 0-1 in the face. I think Miami takes it. Money line.
We disagree finally.
Right. I was hoping. That's one of the reasons. I mean, I do agree with my pick, but I was figuring you might be Notre Dame leaning with that, so I was hoping we would at least have some disagreement, because if you agree, then what's the point of a show?
So here's the thing with Miami, right? Picture this: we rewind 8 months ago, Miami with Cam Ward versus Notre Dame with Riley Leonard or CJ Carr. Just throw CJ Carr in there,
right? Yeah,
whoever. Yeah. Notre Dame wins by 40 last year. Okay. Transition that to this year. Miami is a more improved team defensively. The secondary, like you said, is much more improved. Quarterback downgrade, not
not major, but it's like
number one overall.
Right.
Carson Beck probably like mid-round pick, third, fourth round, if he has a good year. If his receivers catch, to his credit, like you said, Georgia's receivers last year dropped the ball when it was hitting them smack in the hand.
Smack. Like he was putting balls on dimes.
The entire season, if you were watching Georgia football, you would see a perfect throw from Carson Beck, and you would see drop. And it kills drives. It kills momentum. It kills drives.
It kills this.
And that happened a lot. And it was not Carson Beck's fault. He was throwing great passes. Everyone says he has had a down year, and it's hard to not have a down year when you're throwing 20-yard passes that are right on the money, 40-yard passes right on the money, and it just falls to the ground. So I think you're correct that Miami's offense will not take a huge setback. They're going to build it around Carson Beck a little bit more. They're going to try to give him a better pocket than Cam Ward had. But realistically, the reason that I'm choosing Notre Dame is because Jeremiah Love is my Heisman pick.
Oh.
And he is an absolute stud. He can win the game for Notre Dame by himself.
I agree.
He will take the load off of C.J. Carr, who they just announced as the starter. He's going to take the load off of C.J. Carr. I mean, imagine the luxury of your first start handing it off to a guy that can take it to the house any given play.
I mean, you saw the 98-yard touchdown last year,
and I think that's the difference. He's the difference maker is Jeremiah Love, because he is that good. And no matter what Notre Dame does passing the ball wise, like Miami's secondary may be improved, but I don't think it matters because they're not stopping Love. So that's why I just can't not pick Notre Dame. No. They're just too talented. Ball.
I see what you're saying because this is the game. Like they can have an improved secondary. Notre Dame's probably got the same game plan that they had last year with Riley Leonard, which was like, hey, don't lose the game manager type. Now, granted, that's because C.J. Carr, I believe, is a true redshirt freshman, redshirt sophomore. Yeah, so he's very young as far, and so like that's again, as you mentioned, first start being a handoff to Jeremiah Love. Notre Dame does not play well in Miami. That's another reason why I'm taking it. And you're talking team from South Bend, Indiana, coming down to Miami. Now, granted, down in the South, for some reason, we've been hit with a breeze of 70 degrees in the fall, in late August. It feels great. I'm loving it, but at the same time, I don't know what the weather's like in South Florida. It's probably a little hotter, probably in the 80s, probably in the 90s. But you saw the game last night because we're recording this on Friday. Saw the game last night with Boise State and USF. When the early game started, when the game started getting late, and when you have these teams that go from a cold weather place where it's 60, 50 degrees there now to a warm weather place. Now, granted, it's probably not going to be that hot on a Sunday night. Cramps are going to happen. Cramps are more apt to happen in that kind of environment. And I think that's where, if that Notre Dame secondary cramps at all, I think Carson Beck, he can stretch the ball down the field. And if he plays anything like he did, I guess 2 years ago, when he was up for that number 1 overall pick, had he left after 1 year as a starter. I mean, the last time Carson Beck played in that stadium, and I know it was the corpse of Florida State's 13-0 team, but he lit it up in Sun Life Stadium, or whatever they're calling it now. So we finally disagree. So again, the 3 ranked on ranked matchups, we're both taking Texas, we're both taking LSU. And again, these are money line picks. We mentioned the point spreads. These are money line picks for us. I'm taking Miami money line as their 2.5-point dogs at home, and Ben is taking Notre Dame. I assume the spread at 2.5 as well as the money line. Now that moves on to, we each brought our own game. I have mentioned to you my game because it is a little personal. So I want to hear your game first. What is your game of the week? Now, this is maybe not the game of the week. We're not saying this is going to be the best game. This is the game we just kind of wanted to add. What is yours?
Okay, I'm going to go a little bit off the radar for a lot of people this week.
That's what I wanted. Okay.
So I think that everyone should pay attention. 6:30 kickoff, which will be hard. You might want to split screen with the LSU Clemson game.
Yeah.
But New Mexico versus Michigan.
Okay.
First week of Bryce Underwood.
Yeah. They're playing.
New Mexico has to replace their quarterback and offensive coordinator, but they have a ton of preseason all-conference players. And so I think if Michigan plays New Mexico and doesn't take them seriously, New Mexico can sneak up on them. I don't think that it's going to be an outright victory for New Mexico.
What's that spread at? 30? I'm guessing. I'm not looking at 30. I'm guessing 32. I'm guessing
I think
at
it's
least.
in the 20s.
If it's in the 20s.
It might be 34.
If it's in the 20s.
It might be 30, or it might be 26. It might be 34. Hold on.
That's an 8. That's an 8-point difference, folks. And none of those are the same numbers.
Michigan. $34.5.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's gotta
So
be
I would
30s.
just go ahead. Take that spread.
Uh-huh.
They're giving you money.
Right, yeah.
Again, New Mexico has all conference players all over their roster, all Mountain West. Their running back Scottree Humphrey is an absolute stud. He's gonna take Michigan to the house, and Michigan is breaking in Bryce Underwood, and I don't think it's gonna be the easiest game. It'll be a mismatch talent-wise, but again, New Mexico is a very talented team. By Mountain West standards, yes, but I think they really can give Michigan trouble. And they also have secondary all-conference players, and I really think that if Bryce Underwood if they don't have a good game plan going into this game and they take New Mexico too lightly and play too vanilla,
with Oklahoma next week, it's an easy look ahead spot. They've already announced it. Herb Street has. They're going there next week for the Oklahoma-Michigan game. So and I believe that's in Norman. So you're already talking about an easy look ahead spot. I mean, we remember. I mean, it's a while ago, but I remember 2019. Memphis got announced. It didn't get announced for game day, but Memphis got announced that they were going to be the ABC Saturday night primetime game against SMU. And Memphis went out there again, and Memphis, I believe, was 6-1, 7-1 at the time. Maybe 6-1, they became 7-1. Memphis went out there against a 2-5 Tulsa team and almost lost. And it almost cost the city game day, cost the team a chance to go to the New Year's Six, which they ended up doing, obviously. But it's like Michigan already knows, okay, well, we're the marquee game next week, so why? So we can just walk into this game and cakewalk. And Michigan is a team that should know from last year, if you do that, you will lose. Because, excuse me, they are the team last year that in the regular season finale against a 10-1 Ohio State was staring a rematch with Oregon in the face. We saw how that turned down the playoff. They're saying a rematch with Oregon in the face in the Big Ten title game. And Michigan went out there and bullied them by running the football. And then, obviously, they did the same thing. Didn't have the forward pass, as Dave Portnoy liked to say. And they beat up an Alabama team with the same kind of just defense, grind the game out, don't throw it over their heads, don't make a mistake, you're perfectly fine. So I think that's a good pick though, but I do see where your head is at with the look ahead, because it's a classic early season look ahead spot. You've already been announced your game's gonna be game day next week. Wouldn't it be awesome though if somehow it's a 1-0 Oklahoma against an 0-1 Michigan, because Michigan lost New Mexico? Has game day ever changed it after they've announced? I also don't think they've announced it this early, the day before the game. So again, it's probably going to be, they're probably both going to win. But I love that kind of pick. I might actually put money on that spread as well. My game. In front of me is a New England Patriots frame that has all pictures of all 6 of our Super Bowl championships and ticket replicas of all 6 Super Bowls. The man who took us to all the Super Bowls, plus a couple more, and won us all the Super Bowls as head coach, His name is William Stephen Belichick. I completely guessed on the middle name, but with his son being named Stephen, I would not be surprised at all if that's his name. After his father, Bill Belichick's father.
I think he changed it. He changed his middle name to Tom.
Probably. I mean, his dog's probably named Brady or Gronk. Bill Belichick is in college football. If you had told me you told me 2 years ago when he was walking away from the Patriots and he had interviews with all these NFL teams, hey, this time in August 2025, you're going to be talking about Bill Belichick coaching college football, I would have laughed in your face hysterically. Because I would have thought there was absolutely zero chance. He is. Now, why is he? I guess he had the itch, but when you're 73 years old and you're the greatest coach by most people, now granted with Tom Brady's success he had after the Patriots, that did take a little bit of a hit. You have all this drama that involves him and the girlfriend, Jordan, whatever her name is. No one's talking about the team. This is a team that was going to be on Hard Knocks because Hard Knocks couldn't find an NFL team to take it, and they ended up having to change their rules of no playoff teams to go with the Bills. Now, it has been announced by Bill Belichick that this team's going to be on a Hulu documentary, so I guess Hulu paid more money than HBO did. I don't know how that's possible. They are it's the Monday night game, so this is the second of the Chick-fil-A kickoff games. So this is in Atlanta, neutral-ish site, Fort Worth, They're playing TC, Fort Worth, Texas, North Carolina, or Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Probably an even split as far as fans going to the game. I am taking Texas Christian to lose. I am not changing my mind. I kind of threw you for a loop. I thought I was going to go off on Bill. Wow. Texas Christian's quarterback is a furry, and that needs to be discussed. I understand the guy's a baller. He set the school record of last year with passing yards in a season. But we got quarterbacks being furries now? Furries? Like, he likes to dress up and go to furry conventions. And now, again, that's all I know. I think it's who just like to dress up as animals. That's all I know about it. I'm not really into that culture. So if we get to take a hit with the furry community, I apologize. You can educate me. Keep it PG, please. But Gio Lopez, I believe that's his last name. Gio Lopez is starting quarterback for North Carolina. He, of course, was starting quarterback last year as a redshirt freshman at South Alabama. South Alabama lost both of their backfield tandem with their quarterback and their running back to Power 4 schools. Fluff Bothrow, obviously, at the premier university in the state of Mississippi State. Gio Lopez, as mentioned, has been named the starting quarterback at North Carolina. Bill Belichick, I think, finds a way somehow if he can. Now, I don't know how it's going to translate. He's never really coached in college. I mean, he coached and what I mean by that is he's never coached. I think he coached at Navy like in the 60s. So it's been almost 60 years since he last coached in college. So I think, or was around college coaching. Now, granted, his son Steve was the DC last year at Washington, really improved that defense. He is, of course, the DC and head coach in waiting at North Carolina. I think he gets that. Steve is really good defensive coach, especially at the college level. He can kind of ingrain to those young guys. I think they get that defense working. But if I'm also watching this game is Jordan going to be shown? Is she going to be on the sidelines? Is she wearing a headset? Is she in a booth, her own little booth, wearing a headset? And it's just a direct line between her and Bill. Does Bill have his own headset? He has the coach's headset. He has a Jordan headset. I want to watch. Like, I'm just intrigued by this matchup, by this game. And with that, I'm taking North Carolina. I'm taking them money line to beat up on TCU.
I agree. I had North Carolina winning. I didn't think you were going to take them, though.
No,
yeah.
So with some of our texts what we talked about before the show where we're going, I was like, you know what, I kind of want to get the wow factor, so I kind of wanted to throw you for loops. Now both teams have. I'm not going to say they've had strange-ish, backgrounds to the season. Of course, the Bill Belichick Jordan thing, and you got Josh Haber being a furry, and he's come out and I literally saw it while we were in the middle of our, production snafu trying to figure out how we were going to record this. He charged, NIL. He apparently has a deal where he will, if you pay this man like $150, he will show up to your house in a costume and will like hang out with you. So if you got a quarterback doing that, again, he's a baller. He's a Heisman hopeful, dark horse type guy. But I'm sorry, now you can say I'm old. I'm 28 years old, but I mean, my quarterback was Tom Brady. If Tom Brady turned into a furry, I don't know what I would do with my life. So, or if any Mississippi State quarterback came out and said, "Hey, I'm a furry," out of here. Yeah, so that's our games of the week. Now we each also have upsets of the week. My upset of the week, Lexington, Kentucky. 11:45 kickoff in the morning in Lexington. The Kentucky Wildcats are playing host to the Toledo Rockets. 9.5 point spread. This line jumped from 7.5 to 9.5 in the last day or so. The Rockets, I think, not only cover that spread. I would have taken them at 7.5, but I love taking them at 9.5. The Rockets, I think, win this game. Tucker Gleason, I believe, is the name. I know it's T. Gleason. I will relive one of the darkest moments of my life last season. This man walked into Davis Wade Stadium and shredded an SEC, because our defense last year was awful, an SEC defense for over 250 yards, acted as if he might have had 300. I stopped watching. It was 41-10 at the blink of an eye. It was 38-3, 35-3 at halftime. It was terrible. It was awful. Am I projecting, hoping that Mississippi State's not the worst team in the SEC? Possibly, but you know what? It is what it is. It's a $3 wager on the money line, but it still wins you like $12 at plus 280. So I think Toledo Rockets, Tucker Gleason, not only cover that 9.5. Guys, if you can get it at 9.5, take it. 10.5, whatever. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.5. Take it. It is a money line mega hit. Kentucky is awful. Kentucky starting Connor Wegman. What is with us taking these guys that had one good game in college and thinking we can bottle that game up? Connor Wegman, is remembered for that upset against Alabama that he had back in 2021. Brother, it is 2025, and can you tell me what he's done since then? No, excuse me. Connor Wegman's not there. Connor Wegman's at Houston. Sorry, I got my A&M. It's Zach Calzada. Excuse me. I got my A&M cast-off quarterbacks confused. Because Connor Wegman cost me money last night because I took that over, and he decided to poo-poo the Houston offense. Zach Calzada is.
You expected him to have a good offensive performance?
I didn't. I expected the defense to suck too. Like, I took the over, and it was. They shut him out. Like, Houston might have a team this year, guys. Now, granted, they're playing Stephen F. Austin, but still, if you're playing a Stephen F. Austin team, Mississippi State last year was god awful. We still put up 65 in the first game, so made me think we had a team. So, again, sorry. You went off on. I think just too much in on my hatred for the fact that if Kentucky wins this game, Mississippi State probably will be the worst team in the SEC. But yeah, I think Toledo wins this game. I think Tucker Gleason, Toledo's not a team that was really plucked away from the portal as much as you would expect from a team that made the MAC championship game last season. Tucker Gleason had a lot of offers from Power 4 schools to leave. He didn't. I think that shows leadership, and I think a lot of his teammates admire that and stayed because of. With that, I think Toledo wins this game in Lexington, and Mark Stoops is fired before September, and it starts in August. They lose to Toledo week 1. Go Rockets!
I could see that. I know a lot of people have that game circled as a potential upset, and
where's the money coming in on Kentucky for that money to move? Because I'm telling you, yesterday when I looked at it, it was at 7.5. I looked at it today when I was when I was trying to make our line notes for the game for our picks, and it had moved to 9.5. So I don't know where that money is coming in, but it's intriguing. I have it, so
yeah. I mean, I think Kentucky will pull it out, but I see where your head's at. My upset is Idaho over Washington State.
Oh, okay.
So Washington State favored by 13.5.
Yeah.
Washington State has a new offensive coordinator and a new QB. If you look at who they're replacing, I think Arbuckle was the
OC,
so,
and Mateer was the quarterback.
I just don't think you backfill those guys.
Yeah, I like that pick. I think that, because I think with kind of speaking with the Calzada thing, guys, people are going to look at that bowl game last year with Washington State, where they were, I think they were like 17.5 point underdogs because everyone had left, entered the portal and left, or the OC had left, like you mentioned with Arbuckle. And I think people are, in love with the way they played. They're like, oh, the heart of this team, the grit, they showed up. That only gets you so far in college football, especially early in this season. So I think I cut you off. Continue with your pick or with your reason.
Yeah, I think the other thing that sticks in my mind when I see this line is the Oregon-Idaho game last year, where Idaho gave them all they wanted.
Yeah.
So I think that Idaho going against Washington State, who's substantially worse than Oregon, gives them a chance to actually start the season off on a good note, and I think they can get it done. So that's my upset of the week. Honorable mentions. So Syracuse, Tennessee, we can just touch on that. I think Syracuse is not going to win, but I think it's an interesting play that they could potentially give Tennessee all they want. And then Tennessee has a new quarterback, and we'll see how that works out.
Yeah.
So.
Ball
State versus Purdue's an entirely new team.
Yeah.
Ball State probably has a little bit more continuity. There is a 17.5 point line, so at least if you want to take the line, that might be a good line to take.
Yeah.
And then Florida State, Alabama. Florida State's talked all the crap they can, so we'll see how they come out against Alabama.
I like each and every one of those, except for the Purdue one, and this is why. Barry Odom. Now, granted, he was not that good at Missouri. There's a reason why he was fired. He is very, very good at turning around programs really quickly. UNLV was a dumpster fire before he got there. And in his 2 years there, took them to the Mountain West Conference Championship game both years, losing both times to Boise State. And that's the reason why he quit. But here's my thing with your other one. You had Syracuse, Tennessee. What was your last one?
Florida State,
Bama. The thing with the two of those is the quarterbacks for the two SEC teams. So the quarterback for Bama, the quarterback for Tennessee, and this is why I like those picks. Joey Aguilar loves to throw picks. Now, granted, in Josh Heupel's offense, he's gonna take the ball to where you don't make those mistakes. He's gonna run the ball. He's gonna spread the receivers out to the hashes with the deep hash, with the long hashes you have in college football. He's gonna spread the defense out and he's gonna run the ball. Toledo with, Purdue. I know his last name's Brown. I can't remember his first name. The head coach. He's a defensive Fred Brown or Fran, one of the two.
Syracuse.
Yeah. He's a defensive minded. The defense last year was okay. Like I mentioned, like what they did I mentioned like beating Miami at the end of the season, but the defense I think has some holes to where I think that I just don't know. And also that offense does. I feel like they lost a lot of talent, especially with losing Kyle McCord to the league, though he's been cut now. but still got drafted. I don't know where that leaves. I just don't know where the points are for. I think Tennessee struggles, but I just don't know where the points are for Syracuse to hold that spread. The Bama one is really, really intriguing because why is it? I understand it's in Tallahassee, but why is it only 13.5? Like what are we? Like something's got to be there, and I think it's the fact that Ty Simpson's been there for 4 seasons and he's just not getting a chance. And you've had like 3 different OCs, 2 different head coaches say this guy is not the dude. And now because no one's there, they brought in no transfer portal quarterback, nothing like that. And I understand the board is getting his OC that he had at Washington. He's getting him with him this season because I believe he spent last season with the Seahawks. I just don't. I think Florida State is very, very intriguing. But on what you said with the Idaho game, that I think has affected this spread because number one, I understand Washington State's pretty much D5 with the whole Pac-12 mess. That's still Idaho's still an FCS school, and it's only 13.5. I also looked at Oregon's line earlier; it's only 26.5. So, and they're playing an FCS team as well. My phone died, so I can't really pick up what it is. I don't remember on top of my head who it is, but I think it's a team I believe from the Northwest. But you're telling me Oregon's only going to win that game by 27. I think the bettors are looking at that Idaho game last season. That's why the line in the Idaho game is closer than it would normally be for an FCS FBS matchup, and that's why the line in the Oregon game is a lot again closer than it would be for a top 10 team versus FCS matchup early in the season.
Yeah, I think Oregon plays like Montana State.
Yeah, it was one of the Montana. I thought it was one of the Montana schools. But yeah, it's only like 26.5. And so I think people would say, "Oh, hammer that," but then they also in the back of their mind remember hammering probably 40.5 last season against Idaho, and they lost. They were trailing in the third quarter.
Sure.
So that will take us to parlays of the week. Now, my phone died, but Ben has his. We each placed wagers on DraftKings. Ben was $1, mine was $2. Both around the same odds, plus 2,800. Ben's $1 pays out around 30. My $2 pays out around 40-ish or 50, I guess, with the $2 play. Ben, hit him with yours because I did have a couple of your plays because I also liked them before you had sent them to me.
Okay. All right, my parlay for everyone. So that's five legs. So we got Idaho covering 13.5 over Washington State. We have Ball State covering over Purdue 17.5. UNC money line. UNC wins outright over TCU. Notre Dame covers the 2.5, wins and covers, and then Utah wins and covers against UCLA 5.5.
That line is so easy to hit, the Utah line. Like I'm gonna bet it outright. I bet it in my parlay as well.
Yeah.
I get it. It's a road game, but no one goes to the Rose Bowl for UCLA games. I mean, they literally tape off parts of the stadium because they don't want it to look that empty. Utah, I understand they were bad last season. When does Utah set for their first year in the Pac-12, and then obviously last year, their first year in the Big 12? They don't have losing seasons under Kyle Whittingham. I think they have a quarterback, Eric Dampier, who was at New Mexico. You mentioned that New Mexico lost their quarterback when you mentioned them with your upset pick. It might not be Eric. Dampier.
Devon, I think.
Devon Dampier. He is going to be an absolute stud. He might run for 200, throw for 200 in this game. They're going to wipe the floor with UCLA. I could see them winning that game by 3 touchdowns. That 5.5 spread, hit it now, everybody, hit it now. So I had that. I had some other plays. I can't remember off the top of my head. I remember my phone died. We will be posting these on our Twitter. So we have a Twitter handle as well. It's A&B Talks. It's A&B Talk Sports. We'll put the link in the bio of this video. But is there anything else we did not hit on?
What?
Is there anything else that we talked about we wanted to hit on before we not wrap up, but I did have one little segment I wanted to add.
Okay. I have anything else, so let's go.
Okay. So both our teams are playing. We're not playing each other this week, and obviously that's for the end of the season. For people who don't know, I'm a Mississippi State alum. Ben is an Ole Miss double alum. Graduated there with his bachelor's or master's and his bachelor's. I just got my bachelor's because I hated school. Our spreads, I believe yours is at 36.5. Ours is at 13.5. It has jumped up from 11.5 again early this week. A lot of late line movement that I noticed. A lot of late line movement favoring the SEC teams. What are the chances either of our team covers?
I pick Ole Miss to cover, yeah. I think we cover.
I think y'all cover. I don't think we cover. I took us in an alt spread of 5.5 because I like betting. I said alt spreads, and I'm praying to God we don't lose that game. Because if we lose that game, it's going to. And we talked about this as well. Mississippi State, obviously last year was awful. 2-10, lost to Toledo, lost every SEC game by double digits. Like, no game was close. There wasn't a game where it's like, okay, fourth quarter, can they? No games were close. This game, in my opinion, for both teams, will speak to what the season is going to bring for both. The reason why is, now you might be saying, well, Ole Miss, they can win by 30 and be fine. Austin Simmons is who I'm more intrigued to watch. I'm really intrigued to watch him on Saturday because you've seen it with Ole Miss kind of when they're breaking in these new quarterbacks where they will the quarterback kind of plays in some of these games. They get off to a slow start. If Austin Simmons goes out and that first drive is 4 plays, 75 yards, takes minute 10 off the clock with the running clocks now, obvious, or with the clock keep moving after first downs, Ole Miss might put up 70. I think that now if he doesn't do that, I think Ole Miss still has a chance to cover. State, if we cover, I would love every minute of it. I would hackle because you talk to people. I was listening to a guy today. He's sprinkling. He was thinking about sprinkling Southern Miss money line. It is very, for the Mississippi State perspective, it is very, very, this season, if you lose this game, it's going to go back quickly. Because I think if you lose this game, you were staring 1-11, you were staring 3-21 in the last 2 seasons in the face. And I understand Jeff Levy's, 60 new players, all these transfers, bunch of new starters on defense, but there's a bunch of new starters last year. What we lack is the receivers as far as experience. Me and you kind of touched on this earlier. All of our receivers are at SEC schools now. Like Kevin Coleman at Missouri, you saw him last night. Mario Cravers at A&M, you'll see him in their game. It has the chance to get bad, has the chance to be okay. I'm hinging it all on Saturday.
Yeah, I'll touch on the Ole Miss side. Just because obviously I know kind of what's going on there.
Right.
So you kind of you really posed the question: was Austin Simmons a 5-star? And
right.
To your point, I don't think he actually ever got 5-star. This 5-star rating because of they don't really do that until your senior year.
Right.
So he was a top 5 quarterback in his class, okay. I believe.
So that would have been 5-star.
He reclassified.
Yeah. He reclassified.
When he reclassified, he was a 4-star and a top 20 quarterback maybe. But he reclassified 2 years ahead. He's been in the system a few years, 2 years now. Will be his 3rd year in the system. He's definitely familiar with the offense. He has an absolute cannon of an arm. He can make any throw that we want him to make. The buzz from fall camp is that there, at least especially the first fall scrimmage that we had, he had some turnover issues. And that was something with Jackson Dart his first year. That was a Matt Corral issue his first year as well as turnovers. And that got shored up the next year, and especially, and then Jackson Dart didn't have turnover issues really his whole career, but first years he definitely had a little bit more than
because it was
the
competition
second and third year. So I think if he can if he can take care of the ball, the receiver core is phenomenal. The tight ends are great. Their running back room is a lot more improved. There's not a Quinshon Judkins back there, but there's a Snoop Connor back there. There's a Jerrion Ely back there. It's more of a committee.
Right.
There's some electric, explosive backs. There's some thumpers. We got a Louisiana Lafayette transfer. I don't know. Anyways, we got a thumper from one of the Louisiana lower schools, and we got a speedy guy. What?
I know the Louisiana Lafayette running backs at an SEC school. Can't remember if it was y'all or Missouri. But
ULM, Ahmad Hardy went from ULM to Missouri.
That's what. Okay.
We got a transfer running back from Missouri.
From Missouri. Okay, that's what it was. Ahmad Hardy. I had Hardy. Didn't have the first name. Ahmad Hardy. He's the one at Missouri. Okay, then yeah, it probably is the ULM kid then.
Yeah, we got Damian Taylor, I think is his name, and then Kawan Lacey is the Missouri guy, running back. He's a stud, super explosive. So we'll see what the running back room is. That's kind of what I'm focused on, and obviously if Austin Simmons can take care of the ball and make some good throws, that would be a plus. And then focusing also on fall camp, everyone around Ole Miss is saying the defensive line is not going to take a step back. Nationally, everyone expects the defensive line to take a step back, but internally, we've recruited 4 and 5 stars for the past 3 years who have sat behind all of these defensive line transfers. And so the thought and the buzz is that those guys are ready to step up into their roles as former 4 and 5 star guys and are going to make huge splashes, and no one knows their names yet. So we'll see.
Right.
But they're supposed to not take a step back from Ole Miss sources.
That's really intriguing because you've heard a lot of that also, like taking it all the way back to our first game with the Ohio. Like we talked about us both liking Texas, and my reasoning had to do with all the player. I don't know if I really touched on that much, but all the players Ohio State has to kind of replace on that front seven. Because the big reason why people were taking them last year to go undefeated was the Ohio State front seven was all back. This year they're all gone, but a lot of the noises, well, the guys they have, some might be better than the Jack Sawyers and the JTJ or the JTTs, guys like that. And so it's really
Jack Sawyer.
Yeah, well, the Jack Sawyer and then the JT, however you say his last
name. Whatever. Yeah.
So I think starting a game like you guys are with Georgia State, it gives them the chance to work out those early season kind of hiccups. And then it does, because it doesn't hurt you if it hurt. And this is the reason why I took Texas. If they have an early season mess up, it's going to hurt them because Texas is going to run the ball, kind of with you guys again, running back by committee. But we're both probably hopefully win. If we don't, then I mean y'all will win. If we lose, I'm just gonna go and just call it to the ball and just say, you know what, it's not about even being good. It's not about being better this year of like we need to win an SEC game and stuff like that. I want to be competitive. Like I mentioned, we were not competitive in any SEC game. Most competitive game I think we had last year was against Ole Miss, but that's a rivalry game. Like that's gonna be competitive. It's gonna be sloppy because it's late in the season in Mississippi. It's gonna rain. It might snow. Whatever. Like it's gonna be sloppy. Those games are always close. But yeah. Well, that wraps us up for week 1. Again, posts will be made to the Discord. Discord link will be in the bio. Posts will also be made to the Twitter. Twitter link will be in the bio. If you guys have any of the 5 viewers we get, that will probably be ourselves and our wives, each watching it 15 times. But if any outside viewers that last name is not Simpson or Hull have any critiques of how we can improve this, please let us know. Again, it took us a long time to figure out how we could record this without spending a single dime. We finally figured it out after Venmo requests were made and wallets were grabbed to pay another site to video record. Not requests, video payments were made. But yeah, if y'all have any critiques or not critiques really, just any helpful tips, hit your boys up. Again, links will be in the bio for our Discord and the Twitter. And we'll see you guys next week. Again, next week NFL season will start. We will be be on the lookout for some maybe Thursday night picks with the Thursday night game. We'll probably not record until a Friday again. So please just hit us up with any tips, and we'll see y'all next week.
See ya.